So one more variation what I was talking about earlier was you're co-facilitating. And what if you think your behavior actually has been the trigger for your co-facilitator? And I'll do a bit more of this in some of the videos that I'll prepare for you all. But just some quick thoughts are, if I'm paying attention to my co-facilitator, we're checking in and I notice there's a shift in energy from engagement, I like you, to a little cooler, but I don't know why. I might just check in, how you doing? I'm fine. I'm noticing a shift in energy, and I have this kind of, is the word niggling offensive? That's what, I don't even know. It just came to me. It's just kind of like your gut, you're going, I just have this kind of sense that I may have said or done something that bumped you. So I can ask. Now, they may not want to go there in the moment. They may not want to look at me right now, but at least I've shown up, because if I'm present and they're like, nope, fine. I'm like, all right. Because when we were just up together, there was that moment when that person asked that question and we were both kind of answering at the same time, and I kind of kept going. And when I came back to say, what else you got to add? You just put up your hand. And I was like, ooh, did I overstep? So I can offer an idea, a wonder I have. But again, if they're not wanting to dance at that moment, at least I've set the stage that I have a sense something's going on. I think it might have been this, and I'm open, and so I offer it. And so I might end it by saying, well, if there's ever anything now, later, or you're like, even in 10 days, you're like, oh, wait, there was something. I'm open to the feedback if you want to give it to me, because that'll help us in our relationships and it'll help me as a facilitator. And I want us to have enough transparency that I show up in ways that's useful. So, and later they might say, I just was having this pain in my stomach because of what I ate for lunch, right? But at least I've shown up and I model I'm willing to engage and reach out. Anybody have a story of a time where you did something like that with someone you want to share? Or you did not effectively deal? I could tell you a few of those. Well, I'll go there. There have been a couple times that folks may have approached me as a co-facilitator and said, when you did this is a bump for me. And of course, I went into fragility. Yeah, but this was going on for me. That wasn't my intent. Here's the reason I did it. And I just I triggered myself to the point I just had taken over in all my privileged identities. And then with some reflection, usually something happens in the workshop that I'm like, oh, I just did that with. And so then you can always go back. And I think you saw in some of the triggering events, navigating difficult situations, webinars that you've been watching, if you're up to like 10, 11, 12, or if you've been reading my book, Turn the Tide, we can always go back. And so with a co-facilitator, I have gone back and I said, I really regret how I responded to you when you were offering me some feedback. And if you're open, I'd love to revisit that. Now, they may say, no, I'm done with you right now, but they're like, all right. And then you lead with the regret. I really regret how I got defensive and dismissive, and I apologize. So you name your behavior as, not like this much, because then you're white-splaining or whatever splaining, but just enough so they know you're not doing kind of the blanket, I'm sorry for what I did, will you forgive me? Enough that you name your behavior. I regret. 12-step language is I was wrong to. That language used to come out of my mouth easier than it does today, but it's probably good for me to keep practicing. So I was wrong to do that, and I apologize, and I'm open to hearing the impact my defensive, dismissive behavior had. And I'm also open to when and if you want, I'm very curious about how my behavior impacted you before, because my guess is it's not the first time. I value our relationship, and I want to and intend to show up showing you how much I value our relationship. And I want to not have my behavior impacting you in the ways that I did originally and that I did when you gave me the feedback. Humility, curiosity, but a lot more humility. And Victoria, I love your noticing of the language of noticing. And you all know that that's the panning language, but you don't have to ever say the word panning. It's just like, here's what I noticed, or something that, I could be wrong, but this seemed to be something going on. So however you want to frame it, you really are sharing as much as you can, just the facts, just the behaviors, whether it's yours or someone else. And I love that you're doing it in parenting and other relationships. I had a chance to coach someone once, executive coaching. They were a middle school diversity, equity person. And after a few sessions, and she did all the navigating difficult situations, the full course, and read the book, she started teaching pairs to 8th graders in an after-school group. It might have been an in-school group when teachers said, this student is no longer able to be in my classroom. Funny thing, they often were young students of color from white teachers. So the way that whites with racist ways only see behaviors of students of color as problematic, but the same behavior from whites all of a sudden is not. So she taught these young children, 12, 13, 14-year-olds, pairs. And they were teaching it to their peers. So it just gave me such joy to realize that the tools that I've been gifted and put back out in the world, that y'all are taking and using in ways with all kinds of age groups. Because Victoria, yours, I think, are 6 and 8, 7 and 9, if I remember right. So, and as you all put out your brilliance in the world, we're impacting others. So